eFoods Direct.
Welcome to this week's edition of World Crisis Radio. This is Webster Tarpley reporting from Washington, D.C. Now, we have a worsening strategic situation overall in the Middle East, and we probably need to pay attention to this. Remember, about 4 years ago, I was putting out essays on the internet. Obama is a recipe for a world tragedy. And this is now coming true with a vengeance, not just on the domestic dictatorship front, but also with an increased U.S. military adventurism and aggression, supplemented by economic warfare and color revolutions, a broader palette than the neocons were able to use. This is now coming true. Buy a copy of that book, Barack Obama, the Postmodern Coup, The Making of a Manchurian Candidate, published in March, April of 2008. All of that coming true now. So we now have this crisis. We're told that when it comes to bunker busters, these exotic bombs that are used to destroy targets far underground with reinforced concrete shielding, they supposedly go right through it. Let's see. But the bunker busters, at the end of the Mad Dog Bush Jr. administration, the Israelis had made a special request to buy large numbers of these bunker busters. Mad Dog Bush Jr. refused, but Obama has given the Israelis what they want on this critical front. So, we have the general area of saber-rattling threats and blood-curdling rhetoric coming from various people. You recall last week we were following the visit of the head of the U.S. Joint Chiefs of Staff to Israel. That's General Martin Dempsey, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, supposedly having colloquia with the Israeli leaders, this desperate gang of right-wingers, reactionaries, and warmongers around Netanyahu, Perez, Avigdor Lieberman, Benny Gantz, and so forth. So we seem to have conflicting signals, the situation remaining extremely dangerous. But we've got a series of Israeli leaders who are now trying to tell us that war is not as urgent and not as desirable as certain others. We have, first of all, a parade of three Mossadniks, three former chiefs of the Mossad, Meir Dagan, Danny Yatom, and Ephraim Halevi. All of them say, more or less, the war is not such a great idea. Why don't we think longer, or it's not the threat that some might say. We also have the defense minister Barak saying the war, it's not as urgent as some people say. Former head of the Israeli Defense Force, Gabi Ashkenazi, similar line. However, we've also got a guy called Ronan Bergman. This is a correspondent for the newspaper Yedioth Aharonoth, which is a right-wing reactionary publication. That's Ynet, if you find it on the internet, Ynet. He has an article in the New York Times on the front page of the magazine of last Sunday predicting that there will be an Israeli attack on Iran in the year 2012. We've also got, this is fairly recent now, in the last day or two, the Israeli Foreign Minister, Yuval Steinitz, says that what is actually needed vis-a-vis Iran is a full naval and air blockade. No ships go in, no planes go in. He says, so that nobody can get out or get in. I wonder if there's a rail blockade that he'd also like to have. He says a good model for this would be the blockade imposed by the United States on Cuba in the Cuban crisis of October 1962, Cuban Missile Crisis. Problem with that is that the blockade on Cuba was in one direction only. It was only for ships coming from the Atlantic. It was hardly an exercise towards ships coming from, say, the Caribbean or the Gulf of Mexico. In other words, from the other side, from the coming from the west. And also, he's got a couple of problems with this blockade. How are you going to blockade, for example, ship traffic in the Caspian Sea if you want to go from the south part of the Caspian Sea to the north? Right in there, of course, there are some Russian warships still, I'm pretty sure. So this is warmonger rhetoric. Therefore, essentially, we can conclude the entire Israeli establishment continues to beat the drum on this, whether they're pushing on the accelerator or every now and then applying the brakes. There's a huge battage and brouhaha about this. We're also assured from international correspondents that the degenerate monarchies of the Gulf, that would be the Saudis, the Emirates, the people from Qatar, from Kuwait, from Oman, Abu Dhabi, all the rest of this, they are all beating the drum for war. They want an attack on Iran as soon as possible, as some have also pointed out. That's what they say now. If you do it, then they'll say something else. They are duplicitous, in other words. So therefore, there's also that. So these are the two main groups in the region that are interested in war. Now, let me repeat what I think about this, is that the actual idea of having an attack is not really related to any of these regional things, not to the Israelis, not to the Emiratis or the Saudis. It's a question of the dollar. If we get a catastrophic collapse of the euro over the next couple of months, or really any time in the near future, this will pose an immediate problem for the dollar, because the dollar will be drawn in to the vortex of the collapsing euro inevitably, and they've got to do something to put the brakes on. So therefore, the way you can do that is get that war going, get the Iranians to do you a favor, get them to close the Straits of Hormuz. You'll double or triple the price of oil, and that will be a means of creating an immediate worldwide artificial demand for the dollar. And that seems to me to be the essence. So if the euro begins to go, hold on to your hat, because that's the moment when an attack is extremely likely. Now, this past week, complicating all this, the various Eurogarchs, Eurocrats, puppets, and so forth, have added their own European Union embargo on Iranian oil exports. No oil from Iran to these European countries. But they say not now, 6 months in the future, because we want to allow the Greeks, the Italians, the Spanish, and others, Greece and Italy especially, take a lot of Iranian oil. They want to delay it so that these countries can find convenient alternatives. Well, the Iranian Majlis, the parliament, says we're not waiting for that. We're not going to sit here and wait for you to attack us according to your oligarchical timetable. We're going to preempt you, and we're going to cut off our oil to you, right? You can't fire me. I quit as supplier, right? And Mitt Romney and Trump would understand this. So they're saying we're going to cut off the oil right away, and you can then deal with the rather severe dislocations, right? That would become another factor in the world financial breakdown crisis. So we've also got military moves. The U.S. did a big stunt in the past week. The aircraft carrier Abraham Lincoln, escorted by a British frigate, HMS Argyle, plus a French vessel or two, went back through Hormuz into the Straits and the Gulf, and nothing happened. So this was because they wanted to show the flag. So the whole area on the verge. See you in a minute on World Crisis Radio.